2 no-shows today, huh, fellas?
Slackers.
Or did we release Bree and Will?
Salary, the cap hit is massive.
We had to eat some dead cap. Had to eat some dead cap, but it was time. It was time. Not
Sorry,
motivated.
Will and Bree. You're going to save us money in 2024 and 2025, but you guys are dead to us now, just like the dead cap hit. Boom. Brandon, me. I always intro by starting with myself. Joey and Zach here for the That's Talk Good Broncos podcast. No Bree, no Will, but I think we can handle it without them. Broncos got a win this weekend. It felt good. Even if we just ignore the future, it felt really, really nice to win, to come back too. A comeback victory a la John Elway. I love it. But then it's like back to reality quickly because Broncos released Randy Gregory today. Did not see that coming at all. Personally, I knew he was in the, you got to show up to get more reps. They basically benched him Sunday, didn't let him play. I don't know, but did either of you think he was going to get cut? And if so, like this quickly?
No way. It's so much money. It's so much money. They are paying him a good bit more for him to not play for them than they would have been paying him to play for them. If you look at the 2-year view, they're saving $4 million over 2 years. Like, it's very minimal savings. They just did not want this guy on their team anymore. Taking up snaps, who knows why, but man, it just speaks to how bad that signing has turned out to be. It looked great those first 5 weeks. He was playing dominant, but ever since his injury, he has not been the same player.
Yeah. And also it's just like I don't know. It's just the timing of this is odd, right? The timing of the release is super weird. This is something that I figured you would see at the end of the year. A quarter through the year is crazy. So no, definitely did not expect Randy Gregory to be cut right now. At least I figured that he might be traded, and I get that they couldn't trade him, but it just makes it feel like he should still be on the team. I don't know. It's all confusing to me.
You know how I know Jerry Jones has less control in Dallas? It's because he didn't trade back for Randy Gregory.
That would be the most Jerry Jones move.
Yeah. Like, I can't believe Jerry Jones wasn't on the phone going, all right, I'll give you guys a 6th rounder for him. I mean, Broncos have been like, deal. So I think there's a couple things there. One, there was just absolutely no trade market for Randy Gregory. And this season, I get it because all of his pass rushing ranks are like past 100, past like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. That's several dozens and dozens of players who are outperforming you. So this early, though, it's still crazy to me that not a single team was like, you know what? Maybe a little, like even the Patriots, they lose Matthew Judon this week. To me, that seems like a guy Belichick's like, yeah, I can make him work in my system. So that's odd to me. And how quickly it happened, I feel like there's got to be a disconnect there between Gregory and either Vance Joseph or Sean Payton. Somebody just was like, we can't have this guy around. Like, he's not just like specifically play related, but like he's bringing nothing to the team at this point. And that's very critical to say of Randy without like knowing anything going on. And I'm not trying to like put some shit on him that's not there, but I'm saying like when something happens like this, it feels like there's got to be more to it, right? Than just he's not performing.
Yeah.
I do think
personally
so.
think, Brandon, I think that in that Schefter tweet, he specifically said the team wants to play younger players.
Right.
Which I think that could be led across to other positions. I don't know. I think by the trade deadline, you might see some more of these vets be moved, truthfully.
But before we get to those other positions, though, I do think looking at this Randy Gregory thing, I think you're onto something, Brandon. I think people are too quick to jump to, oh, he didn't have effort or he was a locker room cancer or anything like that. I was in that locker room all last year, and that is one of the most beloved guys in that locker room. He is funny. He is affable. Right. Everyone loves Randy Gregory. I think what it is they, and at this point, his play is deserving of this, but they made him a backup. I think they made it clear to him that until something changes, he's a backup. And that was something he wasn't open to. Okay. I don't think it's anything more serious than that. My read on it is just like Aaron Rodgers. If you demoted Aaron Rodgers behind Jordan Love, that might not have gone well in the Green Bay locker room. I think that's a dramatic example. I don't think Randy Gregory's Aaron Rodgers, but some players just aren't going to be down to be a backup behind some young guys.
No, that's fair. And so, if that's the case, right, then maybe it's more of the Broncos weren't in a spot where they valued his services, but also, if he wanted out, they're doing him the courtesy of letting him go, right? Because there was 2 conflicting tweets about it today. One from Kliss, one from Albright. One said Randy Gregory asked to be released, and one said, the opposite of that. Yeah. I don't know what's true. You're saying he might have asked, they might have obliged. Somewhere in the middle there-ish.
Maybe. I think the Broncos were willing to oblige. I think that's the important part. Most if Jerry Jeudy goes, even Jerry Jeudy, who's another guy who might get shipped out, went to the front office and was like, hey, not working for me here, cut me. I think they'd go, nope. Sorry, Jerry, you're gonna wait 2 years until you're a free agent, because he provides value to this team. I think Randy Gregory provided no trade value and no immediate value, and they went, hey, in the long term, we can, save a small amount of cap if we cut him now. Let's just cut him now, and he can find a new landing spot.
Yeah, I think part of it too is obviously Sean Payton in terms of just the way he does things. If he doesn't believe in a player, an idea, if he's not 100% on board, he has no problem being like, fuck it, let's move on. I don't want it.
On Friday's show. Oh, sorry, Brandon. On Friday's show, we had Nick Ferguson on from 850 KOA, also played under Bill Parcells during his NFL career. Sean Payton is from the Bill Parcells coaching mentorship tree. So it gets some of that stuff. And he was telling us about how when Bill Parcells felt units weren't, maybe performing up to their caliber, or there was effort problems or just whatever. If he was unhappy with the way things were going, he was happy with the fire and brimstone approach and you see it with another Parcells disciple in Bill Belichick. If you show up late to a meeting, I don't care. You're cut. The standard is the standard. And I think that, not to say Gregory was showing up late to meetings or anything, but Payton has no problem going fire and brimstone.
Imagine if, would this be the all-time most hard-ass, I don't really want to play for these guys, but they're really good coaching tree? Parcells is head coach, Belichick is defensive coordinator, Sean Payton is offensive coordinator.
They would wreck shop and run prison-like infrastructure.
Yeah, I would hate that.
It's hard. Press conferences would be hilarious. We would have a lot of content. Yes. We have a lot of content. Even guys, we were a defensive coordinator away from. Rex Ryan almost became defensive coordinator this season. It could have been crazy right now.
But at least Rex Ryan lets you know he's having fun sometimes. None of those other guys really do. And I would say Sean Payton is the easiest going of those 3, but that would be miserable. What would be the best, the most likable coaching trio?
McVay, I think McDaniel is 2, and then what? Staley is DC. You got McVay as head coach and McDaniel as OC.
You got to include Hackett in there. He's never had a bad day.
Hackett's your QB coach. Hackett's QB coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, the maybe QB coach. I think like the Hackett would be grading. I think eventually everything watching him in Hard Knocks, I was like, I get it, Broncos players. I get why you were totally checked out all of last year. I would have been too.
No, it'd be Wade Phillips, DC. Dudes love playing for Wade. Yeah, that would be the move.
Definitely. I think Wade, we got to sneak Hackett in there, McVay or McDaniel. I think that's a group.
That would be a fun group. What is the cap savings, Zach?
You're muted, Zach.
You just muted yourself.
Classic. I think they're treading water this year in terms of the overall cap hit. His cap hit would have been 16.1, and they're eating 16.1 by cutting him. Next year, his cap hit, I think, also would have been 16.1, and they're eating six of that. So no, I'm wrong. My math's wrong. They're freeing up 10 million, 5 million a year, I think, over these 2 years. But that's only coming into account in the second year.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest dead cap hits for a defensive player cut. I think
the biggest dead cap hit ever for a defensive player. Third biggest for a position player, non-quarterback. It's ugly. It's seventh is almost generous because you look at the people that are in front of him and they're like a couple $100,000 in front of him. The difference between him and like fifth place, fourth place, where you're getting into quarterback range, like what the Seahawks ate to move off of Russell Wilson. You're getting up there now. This is near Carson Wentz level embarrassing contract.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like the reason the Broncos were able to do it is last couple of weeks, Nick Bonito has been getting, I feel like, better every week. Jonathan Cooper's played well. Baron Browning's coming off of IR, right? Coming back into practice or whatever. So they're getting play from other guys. So that's one reason they're able to do it. I still think like you could argue for this defense specifically, you want as many bodies there as possible, but we're not going to worry about that for right now.
Exactly. You're totally right. You would want more. It's just you're right. You nailed it, Brandon. It's just like something else happened behind the scenes. Something had to. You don't just get rid of this guy. Zach, you laid it out. You're paying the same amount, cutting him as he would be on the team. Like there's something else is going on.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's like anything crazy. I'm just saying like maybe Gregory and Sean Payton just don't get along. You know what I mean? Like something as simple as that.
Yeah, I think they were willing to, again, grant him this opportunity. I don't think I saw a comment about it. I don't think it's as simple as he was like, hey, guys, can you cut me? And they're like, yeah, for sure. They were fine letting him go. Again, to what you guys are saying, Dwayne Washington, who's taking Randy Gregory's roster spot, I think even with Randy Gregory's tape looking how it looked, I don't know if Dwayne Washington's a better player or is helping this team win games more in the now. So it's not, I don't know. It's not just like they had to upgrade that roster spot. There is a little more something to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been surprised if Frank Clark was the guy who was released early this season. The Randy Gregory one is surprising. But this leads me to one other thing I want to talk about before we do whatever we're going to do today. It's been like there's Broncos fans who, before the Broncos won, specifically, willing to trade anybody and everybody, which maybe one or two guys here or there. Like, I don't think you can trade everybody because I believe you need football players to win football games, even if some of them aren't, playing well right now. But I do think the Broncos are going to move probably one more player before the trade deadline. It's not going to be Pat Surtain. And anybody who wants to do that, I think is crazy. The two names that keep popping up, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. Joey, you give me just a reason or why you would move one of those guys. And then Zach, you take the other dude.
Cool. I think, I'll talk about Jerry Jeudy. I've always been a huge Jerry Jeudy guy ever since he came out of the draft. Still am. I think Jerry Jeudy has a lot of potential and a lot of things that he can do well to a team. It's just, the Broncos, we have to be kind of realistic with where they are. I think that's where it all starts. We're coming off a win, which is awesome. The Broncos win. Let's go. But it's against a Bears team, and you were down substantially to the Bears at some point in that game. And I don't think you can just flip your entire, hey, we just beat the Bears. We lost to all these other teams, though. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, we're probably not a very great football team. And how do we get draft picks? We can't trade Patrick Surtain. As you said, he's a cornerstone piece. Who can we trade, though? Where are we going to maximize? Where are we going to get picks? And I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be that guy. He's probably going to get you your most bang for your buck when you're trading somebody that is kind of, not a cornerstone to your team. So I think Jerry Jeudy, that's the reason why you would trade him. I'm hoping for at least a third back. I think a third is realistic, and I think that's something that a team will give up. I went out there and I said I think Carolina makes a ton of sense. Bryce Young's really struggling out there, and they don't have any wide receivers to speak of. Their best wide receiver is a very, very old Adam Thielen. So, they need some help out there, and Jerry Jeudy or, the guy Zach's going to cover also makes sense over there.
Yeah, I think Jerry Jeudy would be perfect for Carolina. Really quick, just piggybacking off of that point before I get back to the root question. He'd be perfect. They don't have any wide receivers that can separate. Bryce Young is a quarterback that I think is great at finding the open man, but no one's open. So give him a guy that can get open easily, and things might start going easier in Carolina. I'll give the case for trading Courtland Sutton, though. It way more aligns with the Randy Gregory deal. You cut Randy Gregory, this talented, expensive, yet injured player who, isn't what he used to be, isn't what he was when you gave him that contract. And as a result are trying to usher in these new guys and see what sticks. You're going to be given snaps to Thomas Incoom and Benito and Browning and Cooper. And some of these guys, I think Benito, Browning, Incoom are unknown quantities. I don't think we quite know what they are yet. They haven't played enough edge rusher in the NFL for us to know what they're going to be, but you're hoping for upside, hoping some pan out, even though some won't. That's what Jerry Jeudy is. Yes, he might not pan out. There's a lot of weirdness with Jerry Jeudy. He also was the most efficient wide receiver in the NFL last year against man coverage. And not only last year, but that performance last year was the best we've seen against man coverage since the tracking data is available. Dates back to 2014. Ooh. No one's been more dominant against man coverage than Jerry Jeudy was last year. There's something there that is special. It hasn't been unearthed yet. He has not lived up to that potential, but there is something there. Courtland Sutton, we know what he is, and it's not worth his contract value.
Boom. I think it's weird too, because right now Courtland Sutton is having a better season than Jerry Jeudy. And one big reason obviously is Judy's hamstring injury, right? That misses week 1. I don't think he's really ready to come back week 2. Maybe he has a big game this week or next week. You take those 2 fumbles, and obviously they're fumbles. They're on Courtland's. Well, one of those fumbles was really good play by the defense, but you take those 2 fumbles away from Courtland Sutton. I think we're talking about him as having just a really solid season so far. And I think those fumbles kind of negate some of the nice things he does as a receiver specifically who I feel like Russ trusts and kind of goes to when he needs a guy to make a play. But I think you could get more value for Jerry Jeudy. And obviously the Panthers are sitting out there. I would want a second rounder for Jerry. What year's Jerry on with his contract?
I think he's 4. He's entering. He's in year 4 right now. So
they have to fifth year him basically to keep him next year at this point.
Yep.
They've already given him the 5th year. You have to do that a year out. So yeah, he's set up for that now. So he will be paid a good bit next year. Now, looking at how the wide receiver market has ballooned, it's still relatively cheap, which is something that I think makes Jeudy appealing. Sutton is not up to contract value. Jeudy, even with his issues, is probably a relative bargain given, how expensive wide receivers are now.
Yeah, I think based on stylistically, and I just use that term very loosely here. Marvin Mims to me is in terms of if you were to move on from Jerry, he's a better fit to replace what Jerry Jeudy does well. So I think they kind of have that there. We'll see if they do something. It feels like they are thinking about the future, maybe a little more than they would like to even admit by releasing Gregory. Before we get into the next thing here, you gotta check out our friends at Underdog Fantasy, guys. Our code over there is Let's Ride. Our QR code works there as well. There's a link in the description if you want to play fantasy football at Underdog Fantasy. Damn it! Oh, there's my disclaimer. Always want that disclaimer. Oh, God. I'm holding in a sneeze.
And we get to cover Zach's face up. This is a beautiful disclaimer here, Brandon.
Boom. Disclaimer, cover up Zach's face. You know the rules. Yeah. New customers, they give you a mystery pick'em special. They're going to match your first deposit up to $100. You got to use our code Let's Ride when you sign up over at Underdog Fantasy. They have the Best Ball Resurrection tournament right now as well. So the Best Ball Mania tournament, it's a big best ball fantasy format. You draft through the summer, you pick a team of players, and then you're done. They just tally your best score every week. Now, let's say you drafted some guys like Aaron Rodgers, Nick Chubb, and oh crap, they're hurt. You get a chance to redeem yourself with the Resurrection tournament. $300,000 in prizes, $30,000 to first place over at Underdog. They're sponsoring us. And if you want them to keep sponsoring us, you must sign up. Let's Ride is the code. Ride. Luckily, we kind of are riding.
Yeah.
It felt like it against the Bears.
We got a little bit of a W. Let's go. Hey, I don't care who it's against. We're going to take it.
It is hard because it's the Bears. And the matchup was in the Broncos' favor. Bad defense, our offense is good. This week is kind of opposite. Jets have a good defense. So we'll see.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pretty solid. It was nice to imagine this team really bottoming out and maybe the good that can come from that. But ultimately, I do think this offense and this team is too good to be 1-3. The fact they went 28-7 to the Bears gives me some pause. It makes me think, oh shoot, maybe this team really is that bad. Because I don't think the Chiefs are going down 28-7 to the Bears. You know, they beat them 41-3. I don't think the best teams in the NFL are even putting themselves in that situation. But I do really believe in this offense.
Yeah,
and that's where my overreaction is. Even if we want to get into it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the one thing, and we were talking about this right before we went live, guys returning to practice today, Justin Simmons, Josie Jewell, Baron Browning, Frank Clark, Mike Purcell, PJ Locke. That is 6 defensive players returning.
Yeah.
6 basically starting caliber dudes. Now, all of them might not play this week. But yes, the Broncos defense has been bad. Yes, we have questions about Vance Joseph. But yes, every team deals with injuries. But that's 6 fucking guys on defense that we desperately need. And that's not even mentioning K1 playing corner. They released Isang Bassi as well. So a guy they tried to migrate in the mix there. Like, he's out. So I think they're really just trying to figure out personnel on defense more than anything.
I mean, even just at safety, we're talking about, like, we have DTY starting right now. I mean, how far down the list did we have to go to get the DTY starting?
He was drafted to be a special teamer.
What was that, Zach? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying he was drafted to be a special teamer, and he couldn't live up to that.
Well, damn. All right.
That's what he's been so far as a rookie.
I get it. But like, we had to go down Justin Simmons, Caden Stearns, PJ Locke. We had to move down the list to finally get to, okay, DTY starting. And I did think he looked better last week, but
yeah.
Hey, this is guys not supposed to be on the field. Like, we had to go through crazy circumstances to get where we are with our personnel on defense.
Yeah, I think, and so like with Bassey being released. It's Jaquan McMillan, right? That's who they're gonna throw in, and he played against the Bears a good amount. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started over there for them most of that game. I thought he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah. So it's it's the real silver lining is this defense is learning a lot about a lot of very young raw players, like you're saying, guys you didn't expect to have to play right now, and that's a hard thing to go through as a team. But if some of those guys emerge as being starters or very solid rotational pieces, and that when you go into continue to build your team via free agency in the draft next season, you're sitting in a better spot. That's me reaching, but that's my spin on it.
You're starting from ground zero, man. You can only work your way up. When you're using all of these young players, you can only go up. Like Drew Sanders, we all came into the season talking about, hey, he'll be a good situational player. What's going on? The guy started right off the bat. No offseason, like really to prepare. All of it. Like it's been really rough for this defense. The personnel has definitely been an issue.
Yeah, and even getting Riley Moss back now, it's like, please save us, 3rd round rookie cornerback. Save us, save our season, please. Yeah. It's like that's not a good situation to be.
No, and it's even Marvin Mims playing the way he has been awesome, and like early overachieving like expectations I had. So getting a look at a lot of young players is ultimately a good thing, assuming whatever they do in free agency next round is better than Randy Gregory and some of the other things they've had to do. And before the season or during preseason, I complained a lot about old William Lutz. 1L Will Lutz. Since week 1, been pretty solid. So there's my kicker take.
Looking good for your prediction. You made the preseason Will Lutz is going to make 70% or 90% of his field goals prediction, and that's so far looking pretty good.
Did I say that? Wow.
Yep. That was he's at 85.7 right now.
Ooh,
but again,
he's gonna get there. Willie Lutz gonna get there.
He's perfect since that first attempt against Las Vegas. So yeah, he's looking good.
Are we doing more are we overreacting to guys right now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, yes. Sure. I'll throw out an overreaction. I'll throw out a sizzling hot take. I think Sean Payton, although the Vance Joseph hire is bad, although this team is 1-3 right now and damn close to being 0-4, I think he's the savior this franchise needs. Man, we've been waiting. Hey, you wanted overreactions. We've been waiting 8 years to see some semblance of offense in this city, and Sean Payton's bringing it to us. Let's be real. And Russell Wilson's balling out of his mind right now. Russell Wilson, for as good as he's been throughout his career, as good as he's playing right now, has always had clear limitations. He can't attack the middle of the field, and he can't operate in quick game. He holds the ball too long, takes too many sacks. Sean Payton has broken seemingly all of those tendencies. I haven't seen the data yet on attacking the middle of the field, but quick game, Russell Wilson is having one of the best seasons of his entire career. He's having this incredible production despite his yards per attempt coming way down, and you're seeing him operate the short to intermediate parts of the field, which is something, if he's going to want to prolong his career, he's always had to do. He's never been able to do it. One off season with Sean Payton, and he's doing it at the 15th highest level in the league, which isn't outstanding, but he was 30th last year in that same department. So this is unbelievable. You look at EPA per play, a stat I really like, looking at how much quarterback is kind of creating for the offense. Brock Purdy and Tua are on their own stratosphere. That's being inflated a ton by how ridiculous those 49ers and Dolphins offenses are. But after them, the top 7 goes Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. He's playing like an elite quarterback this year. He is playing like a quarterback getting paid $55 million a year. I did not think this was going to be possible. I think a lot of it, again, is Sean Payton creating the offense for him, but that's what you wanted him to do. I mean, this has to be surpassing the wildest reasonable expectations about what Russell Wilson would be this season. He looks like Drew Brees, and those were outside of their height, antithetical quarterback. They were completely opposite, polar opposite styles of quarterbacking. I don't know. Tip of my hat to Sean Payton. I feel very excited about what the future brings, whether it's without Russell Wilson, with Russell Wilson. This is a guy who's undefeated with Teddy Bridgewater, who's got a winning record with Jameis Winston. I mean, he's a pretty good head coach.
Yeah, and I think like the one thing that gives me hope that it can get quite a bit better is I have not been very impressed with the Broncos run game yet. And I think all of the things that we're seeing Russ do well will get better if they're running the football more effectively. And we saw some of that happen when they were forced to play Jaleel because, Javonte went down with a hip injury. And we saw some of those plays. I saw Jaleel McLaughlin squeeze through a hole that did not exist and bust out 15 more yards. That's exactly what they need. And if you watch the 49ers offense, what game was it? Maybe it's when they played it was like 2 weeks ago, I think. I was like, this offense is kind of boring. But one thing that was working really, really well were the short passes. All of them were working. And when you can do those successfully, and we saw last year with Hackett, none of the short passing game worked. Russ would check down to the swing pass, and it was like, if we had no gain, it felt like it was a positive play. So you're right about all those little things like Sean Payton's doing. And if they can just get one or two dudes there, your Debo, your McCaffrey, whoever the hell it is, that can start turning those into actual game-changing plays, then the one thing that becomes super easy that Russ did well even last year is continue to just fire fucking deep balls a couple times a game and hit on them and make us all love football again.
And that's the thing. The supporting cast hasn't been great. Some of the analytics like pass block win rate and run block win rate say the offensive line is looking like a top 10 line. Not an elite line, but they're in that top 10 range towards the bottom of it. They're a good offensive line, but the wide receiver room is having to rely heavily on practice squatters, guys that were practice squatters a season ago. Yeah. They're still having to call up practice squad wide receivers on a weekly basis that they're relying to be elements in this offense. And as much as we love Javonte Williams, and I still have faith that he'll continue to rehab and come back from this knee injury, he has not been a special running back this year. None of the running backs have, except for Jaleel McLaughlin, and the sample size there is so small. Yeah. It's an underwhelming supporting cast, and Peyton's making this all work. I am very excited for what the future could bring. If to what you're saying, if you can get some talent in this offense, if you can start making the situation better, imagine what he can do with that. He's already turning chicken shit into chicken salad.
Well, guys, also, I think it just kind of shows the value of coaching, right? I think that's a big takeaway from this is the Broncos traded a first-round pick for Sean Payton to fix the offense. The offense looks a lot better. If you go in to this next offseason, say, hey, we need a better defensive coordinator, and you land on a good defensive coordinator, what does that mean for this defense? It possibly, I think that the Broncos could turn this around faster. There's at least hope that the Broncos can turn this around faster than some anticipate. I do actually think that's definitely a possibility.
My overreaction is that Russell Wilson is indeed better than Patrick Mahomes based on some stats that suggest so.
I love it.
I love it. Well, I cited the EPA one. It's there. And then if you look at EPA CPOE composite, which I'm not as big of a fan of, but CPOE looks at it uses the crazy next-gen stats traffic data we have, or tracking data we have, to determine how accurate quarterbacks are relative to the difficulty of throws they're doing. And Patrick Mahomes is really underwhelming in that quality. Overall, he's ranked 12th right now, one spot behind Joshua Dobbs, who's been sneaky pretty good. Russell Wilson's 4th. I think a good bit of that is the Chiefs having really poor receiving talent right now. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to separate quarterbacks from their surroundings. But right now, Russell Wilson is definitely producing at a higher level than Patrick Mahomes. That's objectively true.
Boom.
You guys want to hear my overreaction real quick?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, perfect.
Garrett
My
Bowles
overreaction to the Broncos winning is that I don't think they should have won. That's my overreaction, is that I do not think they should have won. I mean, I said it at the beginning of the show, where we have to be realistic about where the Broncos are. They just beat the Bears, and they were down substantially to the Bears, and the Bears are really bad. Chase Claypool didn't play that game because before they were asking him in a presser if they are using him correctly, and he just said, no, they're not using me correctly in this offense. Justin Fields went out, and he had criticism of this coaching staff. Nothing's working in Chicago, yet Justin Fields came to Denver, and it felt like he was perfect almost up until the end. And he's probably one of the worst passing quarterbacks in the entire league. Yet he really didn't like Mahomes. He was sitting there. Do you guys remember the red zone play where he rolled out and he easily could have ran it in? It was like no problem at all. He stops and just throws it for no reason. just like playing with our defense. Like it wasn't there. Like it was non-existent. Obviously they came up at the end, but I was DMing or texting Zach during this game. And I was like, I'm afraid. I want the draft pick right now.
Yeah, we're all afraid.
I'm afraid. I think Justin Fields is going to screw this up for us, Zach. And he did. The pick at the end. I mean, what my takeaway from this game is that the Bears are the Kansas City Chiefs of losing. It was unbelievable. Like they pulled out all the tricks to lose that game. Flowing timeouts when they didn't have to, everything. So I don't know. I just think that the Broncos it would have been better for them to lose in the long run because I don't think they're going anywhere this year.
And they didn't all of a sudden start getting stops on Justin Fields because they cracked some defensive code and, or started playing a lot better on defense. No, they finally stopped Justin Fields. One, because the head coach made a mind-boggling decision. And two, because he got his shoulder injured on the strip sack. And then he couldn't throw the ball anymore.
Oh, Fields got hurt.
It was his throwing arm. He got injured on the Jonathan Cooper strip sack, and it's why he couldn't really throw the ball from that point forward the rest of the game.
Wow.
Up until that point, he had a perfect passer rating. As Joey said, he's probably the worst passer in the NFL. I was listening to, I think it was the Ringers NFL podcast. They just joked that Mohamed Sanu is probably a better passer than Justin Fields. Like that is the level that was before the Broncos Bears game, but that's the level where it was getting to. This guy could not throw the football through 3 quarters against the Broncos. He's 23 of 24 with a perfect passer rating. And it wasn't just dink and dunks and wide receivers making plays on bubble screens. It was downfield passes. I cannot believe how troubling that performance was.
Yeah, it was. Oh, man. There were a couple really great throws he made when he was playing well. Like I was like legit impressed. But there were also throws that just made me loathe the Broncos defense because they just weren't covering Cole Kmet for whatever reason. And it was confusion. It was confusion in the secondary, between the secondary and the linebackers, not knowing who's supposed to be covering him. And he just, Fields saw the most wide open guy on earth twice. And just, there you go. But yeah, when your first incompletion and is a Hail Mary attempt, it's really embarrassing.
It is.
And it felt embarrassing. But they got back into it. I didn't see because I stream during the games too. Yeah. So I don't hear really anything it's happening. So I get a weird, my take on the Broncos isn't as good as it used to be because I'm talking through the fucking game. So I missed things. I had no idea that Fields might have injured his shoulder in that game until this very moment. So I was going to go for another overreaction that the Broncos defense is fixed. So I'm not going to say that now.
Yeah, I'm not sold on that yet. I cited the advanced quarterback stats to fluff up Russell Wilson. Last week, Justin Fields, among all quarterbacks, ranked 6th in EPA per play and 5th in EPA CPOE composite. So it wasn't just he was tearing it up on the ground. He was destroying this defense through the air. And that makes me very scared for the future. Especially you highlighted a game like the Jets. What happens if the Broncos play a good defense that is able to slow down that offense some, and meanwhile the defense is making every single quarterback look like Patrick Mahomes? It's going to be hard to win games.
Yeah, and this week's great since we the Bronco I'm a Bronco. Since we play the Jets, who just gave the Chiefs offense trouble. They slowed him down. And that was one of Mahomes' worst games I've seen outside of last season when he threw those 3 picks against the Broncos after they were up by a bunch. So nobody really cared. If the Broncos can just score more points on the Jets and Russ can outplay Mahomes specifically against the Jets next week, we are running with Russell Wilson is better than Patrick Mahomes. And we're going to run hard. Even if they lose the game, even if it's 28-31, which just feels like going to be a lot of Broncos scores this season. That's the only thing I'm rooting for in that game. Just look better, play better, score more points than the Chiefs offense. I don't really give a shit what happens on the other side.
28-31 is the new 16-9. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And I want to say I'll be scared if the Broncos defense makes Zach Wilson look good. But he kind of looked good against the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs actually have an under-the-radar, very good defense right now. So
I totally agree. It's not like Mahomes has been world beater so far this year, honestly. He hasn't been. The Kansas City Chiefs defense has been really, really solid.
Yeah, it's kept him in games. I think when Kelsey's fully healthy, maybe that changes things for Kansas City, or once that next receiver kind of emerges, but they're definitely lacking there. And it's interesting to see because it's been how many damn years?
A trillion.
Does it seem like you can slow them down at all?
It's I don't know if the defense can somewhat improve, become respectable over these next 2 weeks as they get all those bodies back, and they are all contributors. I don't know. Maybe they can win a shootout. It'd be nice. I don't know. It'd be really nice. It's embarrassing that the Broncos have 2 of the 4 or 5 longest active losing streaks against divisional rivals. It'd be nice to snap at least one of those this season.
I wish our only win would have come against the Chiefs, but the Bears screwed that up. Because I still want that number 1 pick. I really do.
I do too.
Colts last year. Colts got Anthony Richardson and got a little win over the Chiefs. That would be. I'll take a season like that. Get a prodigious young quarterback and get a win over the Chiefs. Not a bad thing. Not a bad season.
No. All right, we did a podcast, huh, guys?
42 minutes. Not bad.
We did.
Talk.
Hop in the backpack, Will and Bree. Hop in the backpack.
No, they have been released. They're not coming back. Good night. Oh shit, Will's gone. Good luck. One of you guys say good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Nope. You got to say John Elway played his entire career without an ACL.
Then
I say, God, I don't even know my own sign off. Oh, this is a nightmare. We are the Broncos defensive podcasting.